Our attention is getting exploited by billion-dollar companies, and if you don't solve this right now, it's gonna cost you millions and years of your life. My name is Roman Alex, and I sold millions in B2B deals. I was successful on paper, but really struggled with how much time I spend on my phone. By the end of this video, you have the exact step-by-step plan that I used to get control back and use my phone as a tool instead of getting used by it. First, you'll learn the amount of money that you are losing every single year because of this. Then I'll explain the 4 psychological principles that are being exploited, and lastly, how to actually get back in charge. 581 hours. This is how much The Economist estimates every single person is losing out every single year because of social media and phone and other distractions in digital form. Just imagine how much you could actually achieve if you have additional 600 hours every single year. That is about 28% of work hours that you're losing out on. And if you actually estimate that, that's about $34,000 per year lost in productivity. And that is just the average. So if you are a bit more high level or a bit more advanced, you will lose out on a lot more than those 34,000, which is just base average productivity loss. So if you're a high level entrepreneur, for example, let's actually do the calculations for a second for a business owner who has a business that makes 2 million in revenue. Those 28% less that you're making per year actually equates to 700,000. And even if we, let's say, you're not going to spend all those extra hours on productive work, or your team is not going to spend that extra work on productive hours, we can still conservatively estimate 200 or 300k that you're losing every single year because of this. So this is what we're actually trying to solve for. And that is just the cost analysis. I don't think I have to explain the negative effects that social media has on your perception of self, your happiness, and all those things are very clear studied. They all have a negative impact. But just from a financial standpoint, you gotta fix this. The social media companies are investing billions every single year to get you hooked and addicted. And here's how they do it and how you can save yourself from it. And just to be clear, it's not just social media in terms of Instagram, YouTube, etc. They are the best at this. It is also all the other applications like Slack, Gmail, and all the other applications that have pop-ups and notifications. They all play the same game, even though social media is just the best at it. The first effect that they abuse is the slot machine effect. And it's literally what the name says. They copied the exact strategy slot machines used to get you addicted and hooked and never off it. From an evolutionary biology standpoint, we're pretty much the same humans as 20 or 30,000 years ago. We haven't developed in any meaningful way in terms of adjusting to the new times that we're living in right now. And back then, novelty and very low rewards meant a higher chance of survival. What that actually means in reality is, for example, if there's something moving in the bushes, you're not sure if it's a tiger that's going to try to eat you, or it's just a sheep that you can actually catch and eat. You're not sure about it, so we are wired to find out everything that is new. And social media exploiting that to the maximum by always giving us something new, and we are deeply wired to seek any new information at any given time. Because otherwise, back then, we wouldn't have survived. The second mechanism they exploit is the dopamine feedback loop. What that actually means in reality, the faster a feedback loop is, the more addictive is something. To give you an analogy, why is cocaine so addictive? The reason cocaine is so addictive that the moment you take it, almost instantly activates certain parts in your brain and gives you that dopamine spike. So the shorter the distance between doing an action like clicking on Instagram, clicking on YouTube, and you get a positive reward in form of dopamine, the more addictive this is. And with the rise of short form content, it's so compressed that the moment you click on it, you get a dopamine spike, and that's why it is so unbelievably addictive. Third, fear of missing out. As humans, we have evolved that social exclusion is one of the biggest things that we try to avoid at all costs. Because when we are living in tribes of 200-300 people, if you were excluded from the tribe, you probably were starving, you will die, or to the least, you will not reproduce. So from an evolutionary standpoint, the worst case scenario. And when the group has information that you're not part of, it is a reason that you might be excluded because you're not in on the cool club. And so everything where we have the fear of missing out on something triggers directly that social exclusion fear, and it is very hard to resist that. And the nature of social media and modern application, there's always something that you could miss out on. On top of all this, they also create cognitive dissonance. You are probably, if you're watching this, a person with very high willpower. You probably get a lot of shit done. You can have discipline, but when it comes to social media, you keep falling back. You're not sure why. One, because it's so excellently designed, as I explained earlier. But what is the typical pattern that you see? You're probably super busy all day. You have meetings, customer meetings, client meetings. Then you have Slack, you have email pop up here, this, that, projects. You're all over the place. You have a lot of things to do. When does social media usually step in those low energy moments at the end of the day when you don't have the energy to do much more? Social media comes in and being like, now I can give you some cheap dopamine. Why not? And what you probably will try at this point is let me go cold turkey and just cut off all of social media, and because I don't want to waste, because you probably thought about this and you're like, nah, I don't want to use it anymore. The problem what happens then is that basically your brain opens all the floodgates. What do I mean by that? Is because we have so much input all day. You probably work in a lot of hours during the day, then you go to the gym, then you do this, then you do that. So you have constant input from external sources. You constantly have something coming at you. So when the first time there's actually quite nothing is going on because you put your smartphone away and you're not going to use it that second, all the input, all the thoughts, all the negative thoughts, all the positive thoughts, all just unleash at you at once. And it creates so much overwhelm within you that it's like, let me just quickly go back to social media and let me distract myself really quickly again because I can't deal with all of those things coming at this point in time. So when you cut out social media, it's not just that you remove a positive stimulus in terms of, hey, let me get some cheap dopamine, but you also add a negative stimulus of all these things coming at you at once. Initially, that's the thing. It's only for a short period of time that all these things come at, but when you're already at a low energy state, it's very easy to fall back into social media and getting distracted. And that is the single reason why relapse is so likely. And I can tell it from own experience that I've tried so many times to get away from it and I fell back. But now let me actually share the one thing that has changed it all for me. If you sustainably want to reduce the time that you spend on your phone, you gotta apply the 2E strategy: emotions and environment. Let's first start with emotions. Because probably consciously you already know it's not good, I shouldn't be this much on my phone, I should reduce my screen time. You probably consciously know that, but your subconscious has been trained to like that shit. It's literally has been trained for years that let me open my phone, I get some dopamine spikes and repetition. So your subconscious is still like, give me more of that shit. It's like an addict being like, I want more of this. And the problem is that most of our behavior is controlled by a subconscious. Especially if you're at the end of the day have not that much energy left, your subconscious is going to rule. It's just going to go straight for the easy answer. What we have to do is recondition our subconscious relationship with the phone and social media. Association essentially works that our brain wants to avoid pain and gain pleasure. These are the two primary things that our brain is looking for. And right now, your subconscious brain is associating a lot more pleasure with social media, and that's why it's not stopping, because it's just thinking, it's great for me, I like that. So if you want to actually reduce your phone time, you have to start associating more pain with the phone than pleasure, because then your brain will naturally avoid the behavior, because opening the phone would mean more pain than pleasure, so why would you do that? So we have to increase the perceived pain. How do we actually do this? First step is that you have to write it out and be very detailed in terms of what are you actually missing out on by getting so distracted with your phone. And don't stay vague in terms of I just don't follow through enough on my goals, or I miss out on closer relationship with other people. Get really specific for your particular situation. What are the actual negative consequences if you don't solve this right now? Not that you should solve it in 2 weeks, in 2 months, in 2 years. Why you have to solve it right now. Because that will give you the activation energy to actually do something about this. Once you've written down all the details and literally take 1 or 2 pages and write down all the negative consequences that you can associate with continuing this type of behavior. The more you find, the easier it's actually going to be to sustainably change. But writing out alone is not good enough. What you have to do in the next step is actually feel the pain. So all the things that you've written down, the negative consequences, you have to make it real. You have to actually envision living with those consequences. Right now, envision all of the consequences that you have from this. Imagine how your life is going to be in 5 years if you still haven't changed. So double the intensity, get stronger. So like the more pain that you feel in this particular point, and you don't have to do it for long, for 10, 20, 30 minutes maximum. You don't have to do it for long, but it will serve you a lifetime because you will associate so much pain with your phone that you'll naturally want to stay away from it. But you have to make it real. You can't be just in your head. You have to actually use your body and make it really painful. To cement this in your subconscious, we gotta work on your associations. What that means in reality is that if you have two set of behaviors or a signal and a trigger or something that you connect to each other, that every single time you see one thing, there's a reaction in your brain that automatically happens because you have repeated it so many times over and over again. And right now the pattern that you have repeated is taking out your phone, dopamine. Taking your phone, dopamine. So we have to cut through that. What we have to do is link the phone to the negative consequences that we've written out and felt before. So what you're gonna do is picture both of those images. You picture on one side the phone, getting the phone out of your pocket, opening Instagram, holding your phone in your hand, and on the other hand, the previously visualized image of all those negative consequences. So you're going to visualize, close your eyes, you're going to visualize taking out your phone, looking at your phone, opening Instagram, opening YouTube, then the negative consequences with all the auditory, visual things that come back to the phone, all the visuals, all the auditory, all the sayings, all visualize as closely as possible to reality. Then negative consequences, then phone, negative consequences, phone, negative consequences, phone, negative consequences. And you're gonna switch quicker and quicker between them because you basically overlap both of these experiences so closely that in your brain you basically link both of those experiences together. So every time you then pull out your phone, you're not just pulling out your phone, but at the same time, your brain fires the pattern of, oh, if I get my phone, all these negative consequences. I get my phone, all of these negative consequences. Open Instagram, negative consequences. So every time that you want to do the action that you previously liked to do, there's an instant of like, I don't want this. This is not in my own best interest. Once you've done this, you have so closely linked so many pain and negative things to your phone, you'll want to spend less time on your phone. Your brain literally rewired itself to associate pain and negativity with your phone. But if there comes a time where you come back and you feel a bit too much temptation, just do the exercise that I showed you again. It's essentially like going to the gym. Just because you've bench pressed once doesn't mean you're fucking Ronnie Coleman. Maybe you do it a second time. So if you feel like you're falling a bit back or you're getting too much temptation, just do the reconditioning again for 5-10 minutes and you'll be good again. Now that we fixed the psychology and the temptation of the phone, now actually make it easy for ourselves and actually align our environment so we make it as easy as possible to follow through. And there are 3 simple steps to this. 1, make the phone unappealing. 2, make the phone inaccessible, and then find an alternative. How do you make it unappealing? 3 different ways. First of all, a blocker app. I specifically like a blocker app that is not just blocking an app all the time, but has a timer in front of it. What that basically means is before you can open the app, you have to wait 30, 40, 60 seconds before you can actually open the app. Why do I prefer this? For example, social media, I use it for my business, so I can't be blocking it all the time because I sometimes have to use it. But I want to make the friction high enough so I don't just out of habit click on social media. 2 is remove all the distractions from the home screen. So you actually have to scroll to the side and actually search for those apps and not just click into the folder that you're used to clicking into. Last thing is this grayscale filter, basically giving a gray filter to your phone. Just gives you less dopamine because powerful colors just give you more dopamine. Easy fix. Next thing, now let's make it actually inaccessible. One thing is to fully block apps, which is a good way. For example, if you go to bed or in the morning, that's one of the biggest recommendations. Don't go to your phone straight away in the morning. Get a regular alarm clock and use that and get your phone out of the bedroom. The other thing is, out of the room, when you're working and when you want to focus, put your phone in the next room. Why this is so important? Because you might say, I can just leave it on my desk or in my pockets, will not distract me. The research is super clear on this. If you have your phone in the same room with you, even if you don't use it, your attention span is reduced. The last thing you can do is find an alternative. So things that you've previously used your phone for, what else could you actually use for? For example, just a pen and paper you can use for brainstorming, sketching out things. You don't need a phone for that necessarily. Or a remarkable, which is specifically made to just write things down. There's no social media on this. And the last thing which I can recommend is, at any time when you can use the laptop instead of the phone. The reason for that is that most of these high dopamine apps are more optimized for your phone. While you can use them on the laptop, they're just not as enticing. And at least for myself, I've conditioned myself that laptop is usually work related. The phone, bit more leisure time of activity as well. But that is an individual preference. The most important thing is, to be honest, to make it unappealing and inaccessible. The alternative is a great way to add a different way, but don't over obsess this little detail. If you want to learn how to be disciplined without needing a lot of discipline, watch this video. And for more business owner psychology, subscribe.